HollywoodNews.com.
Well, the discovery of the relationship between you two in the movie is definitely one of the important parts of sort of its overall arc. Did you find that the key to that was sort of allowing yourself to sort of get to know one through the acting process, or did you guys spend a lot of time beforehand, whether it was in rehearsing or just getting to know each other, and then sort of work backwards?
That's a good question.
The getting to know each other just sort of happens like on the movie. I mean, clearly we spend enough time and work on the same sort of goals.
But we had a process which was rare in filmmaking, which we had 2 weeks rehearsal on this, which was wonderful. But we kind of shoot it generally in slightly chronological order to a certain extent.
Yeah,
so
to an extent,
we could kind of ride with the characters. But what's important about it is I think there's a real truth to how the relationship develops from one of combative to sort of eventual affection. And it was but quite finely tuned, because if it had been too extreme or you miss a beat, then it would have all collapsed.
Well, Eddie, you sort of have this interesting challenge of charming the audience, or at least conveying to them in the completeness of his sort of personality quirks. Like, what about him is sort of sympathetic? What was the key to that to you?
For me, that was investing in his kindness of spirit, basically, and that I think that he has a load of tics or an honesty in the way he speaks, and a physicality that is incredibly frustrating and irritating to begin with, and hopefully that the audience is won over in the same way that Kristen's character Martine is eventually won over. But really, it was slightly terrifying, because you have to invest fully in characterizing the guy and not be afraid to go too far, hoping that then the decent side of him will shine through.
Was the director sort of instrumental in that, and sort of knowing how to pitch that, or did you just sort of have to find it and then they...
We found it. I mean, the director, Kristen, William, I mean, there were scenes. There was a scene in the back of when, after there's been a kind of a fight outside this convenience store, and William drives off, and my character just freaks out about to Martine, which ends in humour. I mean, it ends in like sort of... But that scene, it took us forever to find it, and William was actually wonderful in pushing me to go further and further and further, and that was great.
Because really, that's like an enormously formative scene. This, like, they're able to relate on a level of like pain, like for the first time, where they've never taken each other. Well, maybe he's taken her seriously, but they've never looked at each other on any like level ground. And so he was sort of like, "Why are you so calm about this? You know what I mean? You should be screaming at each other." So.
Well, your character has to like convey. I mean, you have to sort of immediately trust both of these guys to a certain extent. Do you find that, I mean, the script provides a sufficient enough foundation to convey that, or do you have to do your own work, or work with the other actors in order to create sort of a believable atmosphere where you can a background or a psychological profile?
Right.
Where she would...
Well, I mean, I think that she's sort of undeniably in a potentially dangerous situation, and she's aware of that, and I feel like she's sort of getting off on it. I mean, she does... We've been saying that one of the justifications of the story, William has a kindness in his eyes, and that is the reason that we do trust him, and that's the reason we let him in the car, but... I mean, for her, that's something that, like, grows. I mean, that was like a subconscious thing maybe initially, that she was like, yeah, he's not so bad, but at the same time I feel like she's putting herself in sort of a different situation, something crazy, like she's sort of running from like monotony, and so she's like, yeah, cool, danger, great, let's go.
HollywoodNews.com.